And we're live. I had a shave. so,
Congratulations.
If you like, comment, subscribe if you feel like it. No pressure, but it
I,
would
I
help
have.
out.
I have subscribed
Thank you, Jeff.
quite a few years ago.
And I've subscribed to your channel as well, listed in
Woo-hoo!
brackets. So I will. I'm just gonna get rid of that and try and read this out. There's a few mistakes in this. I'll try to
Well, everybody makes mistakes.
try to correct them. But they have some quite. I will try my best. I will follow Jeff's advice to read it slowly. Kappatoo's computer has been snooping around into Zeta's company, the Zeta Corporation, trying to find something bad about the company. Kappatoo advises that it is wasting its time and goes off to Zeta's café to revise with Taufour for his upcoming Ultramatch appearance. While he is at Zeta's café, Sigmasix appears and wishes him good luck to further keep up the pretense. Kappatoo still not knowing that it is all an act. While Kappatoo was away, his computer got a video message from somebody else who has been looking into Zeta Corporation, giving them access to Zeta Corporation's secure system. When checked, it shows Zeta 8 in various different time periods, stealing relics from various famous people. Having been behind the video message left for Kappatoo, allowing his computer to access Zeta Corp's systems, Zeta 8 stages a video call to Sigmasix, claiming to have found evidence of Kappatoo and Simon's illegal time swap. Kappatoo tells his computer to work out how to get into Zeta's dome, so while they are watching Ultramatch at the studio, he can steal the evidence. There is only one problem. Kappatoo will be at Ultramatch as well. Kappatoo sends his computer back to fetch Simon back and have him go on Ultramatch while he tries to steal the evidence from Zeta's dome. Both Simon and Steve, he could have just asked another one of his friends to do it, but, well, actually, no, because he needs... Okay, that's fair enough. Both Simon and Steve are woken up by Melanie at 5 o'clock in the morning to help with the milking, both not having realized it would require getting up so early. While they are milking the cows, Simon asks Steve if the name Kappatoo means anything to him, but he has no knowledge of the name at all. At breakfast, Brian is reading an article in the local paper about crop circles, and as Steve is skeptical about UFOs being involved, Brian tells him to keep an open mind. Could he be an NP? While Simon and Steve are out picking potatoes, the computer, in a disguise looking like a country yokel and talking in an extreme Devon accent that I'm not sure Jeff understood, finds them. Simon recognizes it as if his mind freeze seems to have worn off, but Steve does not. The computer advises Steve he needs to borrow Simon for a moment to help him in a field, and it and Simon disappear. Simon at first does not want to return to the future, but after hearing that Sigmasix has been released and Zeta is posing a new threat, he reluctantly agrees. After Kappatoo advises Simon what he needs to know for Ultramatch and a brief meeting with Kappatoo's mother, Simon beams to the Ultramatch studio. After seeing Sigmasix and Zeta are watching, Simon advises Kappatoo to beam into Zeta's dome to try and find and steal the evidence she has on them. Once Kappatoo is beamed into Zeta's dome, he is caught by Zeta, Sigmasix, and Zeta's masterclass computer called Psycho. Meanwhile, back in Simon's time, both Steve and Melanie start to notice that Simon has vanished. Over to you, Jeff. I'm going to rest.
I'm trying to remember the three things that are in my head. First of all, when Sigma 6 says, "I hate nice," it made me think of Skeletor's famous line from the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special.
Yeah.
He says, "I am not nice." And then...
But no, actually, it was a bit more, "Hey, He-Man, I'm not nice." A little bit more like that. but
no. Anyway,
no, I could do a better. I went a bit wrong there. Apologies, universe.
I mean, what you answer your question about the understanding the computer? No, I didn't understand most things he said. He just got even worse in this episode. I'd say maybe 10% of everything he said. When he actually like spoke in a normal voice, I could understand it. But any other time that he's doing some voice that I don't even know what he's trying to be, then
and if you see them on the screen, I've actually listed most of them, although it does rather date me.
Anyway, yeah, the memory freeze thing, I don't even know. Like, it's like, oh yeah, Steve apparently. I asked last week, did they use it on him? Well, apparently so, but then Simon, it just kind of wears off completely in this episode.
Well, they did say it's stress. It's a little bit of stress. They said that the stress could maybe. Oh, they mentioned that early on in the previous episode.
Yeah,
That the stress of him being rescued from the black hole.
Maybe they could have at least dropped a line about that or something, because it just seems like they just said, who cares? Kind of like the new Star Trek movies where they just decided to rewrite all the stuff and say it's a new timeline or whatever. What was the other thing? I was going to ask you about the crop circles thing, because I know, because of watching Unsolved Mysteries and reading some old newspapers, that at some point around this time in the early 90s, it came out that some of those had been intentionally faked by these particular guys in Britain. So I wondered, was this before or after that news came out?
Oh, I remember they were a big thing in the early 90s, and they thought that they thought it was UFOs. But yeah, some of the people were showing how they did it.
I was thinking that happened in like 91 though, but I may be getting my times mixed up. Maybe it was after.
It was early 90s, I think, the crop circles.
So that's why I was wondering if it would have been funny, like if that news had come out in between when this was recorded and when it was broadcast.
Well, let's have a look then. Crop circles, England, when? When was this?
Because, of course, on Unsolved Mysteries, they did a follow-up from the original broadcast they did about it, but that could have been any time after that, so I don't know. But I was thinking I had read in the newspapers from like 91 or something that they had come out, the guys had admitted that they had faked it.
Well, what I can do is, it said someone came up with the term. The term was first coined in the early 80s by Colin Andrews. The number of reports of crop sales has substantially increased since the 1970s. So, 20th century. So yeah, it's there on Wikipedia. Here's a bit. The majority of the reports of crop circles have appeared and spread since the late 70s. As many circles began appearing throughout the English countryside. This phenomenon became widely known in the late 1980s after the media started to report crop circles in Hampshire and Wiltshire. After Bowers and Chorley's 1991 statement that they were responsible for many of them, circles started appearing all over the world. There you go. So yeah, Bowers and...
Okay, so it was 91. I was right about that.
Bauer and Chorley. Because, it takes... Because, they've got to get it... Because I think this was broadcast in about May 1992. So, pretty much May.
Yeah, so I would have figured maybe there would have been...
In the summer of 91.
That one of the other characters would have said something about, didn't they fake those or something, But anyway. I miss Moo 4.
You've got Moo 5.
Yeah, she's no Moo 4. And neither is the blonde chick. She's got a little bit of a lizardy face. And it probably sounds like some tremendous insult. It isn't really. I just mean, if you look at her face, it's got a little bit of that quality to it.
Well, she's got nice wide lips. So Alex, Yeah,
I'm not saying she's ugly or anything. I'm just saying
what about
I
this
started to
chick?
think about, because you asked me last week whether I thought she was attractive or not. So
Right.
when I looked at the
Right.
still shot this week, I started to think, what is it about her that's a little bit
Yeah.
less attractive? And I'm like, yeah, she has a little bit of that lizard face quality too.
What do you
I'm
think of
more of a
this?
fan of rodential faces, so
Okay.
those
What did you?
appeal to me more. So
What
if
about?
anybody thinks that I'm being insulting by saying that, I'm comparing, when I compare her to animals, it's not an insult. I know in
Right.
recent
Okay.
years that's become a thing where people say it's racist if you compare anybody to anything like,
Well, yeah. Got you, Jeff. I got you.
yeah.
So,
Anyway, so when I
what
use
about?
those terms, I'm not saying it
Right.
to.
Okay. So, what about this chick? And what about this section where, like, Simon was cracking onto Kappatoo's mother?
Yeah. What about it?
Well, what about her? Does she pass the Jeff test?
I mean, yeah, she's all right.
I just thought that.
A little closer to what I find attractive. Yeah, she's got a little bit of a little bit more of a bunny rabbit face.
Yeah. Right.
You know, somebody out there hearing this is probably thinks it's funny that I'm doing all these animal face comparisons, but that it is something I notice.
Well, if it's the typology community, it's like, Jeff, we've heard idealists. This is not weird what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I don't have those um, as many of the drive-by typings as you do. When characters, especially when they barely said anything. Um, you know, it's one thing to talk about real people getting sort of some physical vibes from them, but when it's a fictional thing, you don't know how much of that is the actor and how much is the character. So, for instance, I mentioned this before because I even showed you a clip. A particular actress on All My Children who plays a character that's very much ISFJ, but I think the actress is an ENFP, and because I've gotten so good at picking up some of those ENFP physical mannerisms, I see those even when she's playing the ISFJ character. So yeah, so I don't have the initial thought as much on the characters as you do, but of course you've also seen it before and had
Yeah.
more time to just like me with the homicide characters, where I had a little bit more of a experience with them before you did. So
Yeah. Yeah. I slowed it down in order to so people can see the text when there's a graphic with text on. I thought that they telegraphed the plot a little bit too much with Zeta 8 when she said that what we've got to do is we've got to get Simon Kashmir from the past in the future, and I think that would spoil the ending for people by telegraphing what was going on. So the way the information was released could have been better, and I think this is one of the things that we know a lot about because we've seen so much Doctor Who, of the old Doctor Who, and like how to do that first episode, and that the first episode is about how you release information and setting up a question and answer strategy. And they should have not shown that bit and let it unfold more and be more of a surprising twist.
yeah, I thought maybe it was a little bit. I mean, I thought the twist was overall executed well, but I thought that it was a little bit less believable that they would be able to eavesdrop on the conversation that easily, unless it was something that they did intentionally. So it sort of seems like the computer should have been smart enough to figure that out. That if he was able to access it that easily, there was something fishy about that. But but overall, I thought the pacing was better in this episode than the first one. There wasn't any point where I thought it dragged or they were trying to like rush too much information into a scene or anything like that. So
yeah, I also
it
think
seems like that was just the first few minutes of the first episode, and they've kind of settled into a little better delivery of things.
I might say that last week, like you were. I think this is the kind of program where people have to pay attention, and I think because you were watching it last week with Morgan, that there might have been little bits that maybe distracted your attention from like, because with certain programs you can like have a commentary and you don't lose. Like if there's certain bits that you don't catch, you can sort of lose the sense of what's going on when it's a program with a lot of information in it. It sort of requires more concentration. Do you think that was a factor with last week? Sort of like the difference in how you watched it this week compared to
I don't
last
know.
week?
I can't really say for sure. And this week I'm not in as good physical shape, so that can affect my experience too. So you'd think that I would actually concentrate worse this time around. But anyway, I don't know. It's hard for me to guess on stuff like that.
Because I might be projecting onto you because I'm a bit ADHD, and so if someone like says something, it like completely throws my
No, I
concentration.
think in general, for me, maybe this is an extrovert thing, but I tend to enjoy something more if I'm watching it with somebody. Now, you could say, well, enjoy more, but concentrate less. Is that possible? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But uh, I don't know. It's hard for me to gauge that kind of thing.
Yeah, I suppose it depends when the other person makes their comments. Like if they're well timed and it doesn't go over crucial bits of information. Anyway, so
Yeah, well, there's some things like if the computer is talking, then I'm probably not going to get it no matter whether somebody else is talking or not. So I think he was tolerable in the first season because it wasn't overdone. But to me, I think in this one so far, it's definitely it's like uh, later Fourth Doctor, as we've talked about before, where Tom Baker wasn't as constrained by the directors or the producers, so he went a little bit goofy sometimes.
yeah, I think the only one where he crossed the line was like that one, The Horns of Nyman.
Yeah, well, everybody was over the top in that one, so
Yeah,
that's
especially
one of
Graham
those
Crowder.
not a good example of how to do Doctor Who.
Yeah, but a lot of the time it's like he was sort of like, yes, he was self-indulgent, but he had this ability to get it back,
Oh
to
yeah,
turn on a dime, and I think that is the key distinction that someone like Tennant. Plus, I don't like Tennant's acting ability. But anyway, back to this. I don't like his acting ability in Doctor Who. I've seen him act well in other things. It's just, to me, his English accent seems phony.
yeah. Well,
Because
that in
he's
itself doesn't bother
Scottish.
me. I don't buy any of I don't buy him as the Doctor, but that doesn't mean that he's a bad actor or anything. It just means that, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think it goes with the tone of the program, where I think we both feel that they're not exactly taking it really seriously, like everyone on the
yeah,
show.
because you can be comedic and still retain. In fact, I think his successor, Matt Smith, was that his name? He did a better job at
Yeah,
portraying that, and
yeah,
I
and
think
he's a good actor.
he was let down again by the writers and the
Yeah.
producers in terms of they made the character something it shouldn't have been, but his performance I think was good.
Oh yeah, especially like if you make a character extra eccentric, too eccentric, and it's hard to make that believable.
Yeah, both he and Capaldi were more believable in as the character of the Doctor, I think.
Yeah, I had problems with. I saw Capaldi in the Suicide Squad. I think he acted better in that than he did as the Doctor.
Well, obviously, I haven't seen that, so I wouldn't
No.
know. But
So, did you get the Michael Caine one when he did Michael Caine?
no, I literally got none of them.
Right.
In fact, every time he was doing a voice, I don't even know what his words were, not much less who he was trying to be. It was just
Wow.
like, blah, 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 blah. You might as well just babble
you are
nothing.
You are the test, Jeff. You are going to
Yeah.
be the test. We mentioned this beforehand, but if Jeff can understand it, we're going to be pretty safe.
Well, yeah, and like I said, in the first season, I think he did better. Like there was less times that I didn't understand him. In this, it's like he's just completely given up on trying to speak in any manner that was understandable.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it was at the time it was done in England, where there weren't that the children's programs were not on for that long, and not a lot of kids at the time would have had access to cable or satellite. It was just coming in, so it's like they would have watched a lot of adult programs. I mean, grown-up programs, and so they would be aware of, and especially for teenagers, they would know who all these people are that he's doing impressions of. Like Terry Wogan would have a program called Wogan from about 7 o'clock to 7:30 interviewing people, and so they would have got these voices. They would have recognized. Plus, it might have been something that was thrown in by any parents watching. And then Jones from Dad's Army, a famous sitcom.
So was Kappatoo promoted as a children's program?
Well, you see, the thing is, here's the thing, that they would have a block of programming in England from 4 o'clock to 5:30. And it would be for various age ranges. And usually the program that was on at 5 o'clock would be more for teenagers. And so on the BBC in the 90s, they had this sort of like soapy kind of serial called Biker Grove that was about sort of like teenage issues and that lot. And so maybe this might have been on in that kind of like time slot of about 5 o'clock, where it's made for teenagers, and where you've got themes in it where, because usually if it's kids who are under 9, they don't like it when it involves romance or anything. So there are these elements of you know what I mean, like the teen, that it's sort of done for a teen audience, but obviously like the NPs, I think as a stereotype, the NTs are going to be interested in the ideas, especially the NTPs in this. And Wojtek very much liked it when he was 10 years old.
Yeah, well, to compare with something we've also reviewed recently.
Your brother liked Man in Machine.
I would say that this show does a better job of putting enough of the special effects and kind of aspects of the sci-fi parts into it more often than Man and Machine did. So it's more, I would say, it probably would more appeal to people that like sci-fi stuff for that reason.
Hey Jeff, you know what you could do? I know your brother can be your INT brother can be uncooperative, but maybe you could show him the first episode of this, see what he thinks.
You can just randomly send it to him out of nowhere, like, watch this.
Wait, I don't know. I mean, it might just appeal to him. You don't know. You know how best to.
It's possible. I have no idea. Like I said, he did watch Blake 7 back in the day. That's the only reason why I had seen any of it before.
Yeah, but do you think, though, that in general, though, I mean, you've got a couple of NTPs here, me and Wojtek. Though we watched it when we were younger, and that nostalgia factor. But it might be that this might be a good series for NTPs.
Yeah, I don't tend to randomly send him things, although there is an exception, because I sent him a couple of old like computer shows that I knew that he watched back in the day. So when I saw on YouTube that Computer Chronicles was a show that I knew he watched back then, so when I found out somebody had uploaded an episode on YouTube, I sent that to him. But I don't even know if he. I think he made some remark about something about it, but I don't even know if he watched the whole thing again. So I don't know.
Maybe you could use some tactics. Hey, I think you may have watched this.
Yeah, that I don't think probably, unless, because this one I don't actually know, but I have no memory of it showing up on like PBS or any of the American things that showed British TV shows.
I mean, it was internationally distributed. I mean,
oh yeah, I'm not saying I know for sure that it wasn't. I just don't remember ever hearing about it. There were definitely some things that I never watched but I still remember seeing the name. Like we already talked about Red Dwarf before, like that I had seen, like, just a few minutes of that, and Scott might have watched that too. I don't remember, but if he did, it wasn't very much. Anyway, yeah, I have no idea whether he'd enjoy this or not.
Right. Anyhow, so there was little things they could have changed, like when they said
saw
Caesar
that thing about one better. No, I don't think it's one better.
yeah, no, because yeah. One less, more like Moo 3 or Moo 1, you might call her.
I did. I remember thinking it was funny, and I don't know, the Greek letters or whatever it is, because I was thinking they're all like delta, omega, all this stuff like this, and then they have mu. Like, is mu supposed to represent one of those, or they just make that up?
I think it might be. It might be one. It might be one. I've heard that as a symbol before. That mu is
okay. Well, it's funny because I was just thinking as they introduced the other girl that was like delta something, whatever. I'm like, they're going to run out of letters and numbers, but then I was like, well, maybe not. If there's mu, then who knows what the other.
I mean, if you've got when they say Caesar is dead, I would have preferred that to be in Latin. Like, because someone would know, someone would have gone to grammar school, someone would have known Latin, and they could have still put Kaiser. I mean, like the Italian guy Metatron would say that he would pronounce it Julius Kaiser, but he's Italian, and so they could just do the Latin version of that.
Yeah, to give credit to the Bill and Ted people, when Bill and Ted traveled in time and went to the various things, they used subtitles and had them speak in their, and at least approximated native languages as opposed to having them speak English.
Yeah, very good.
Like when they picked up Socrates.
Yeah, he called him Socrates.
Yeah, but he didn't speak English.
Very good. As they should be. And it also saves on dialogue.
Right, yeah.
In that you can leave it to the Greek expert to write it. Yeah, because otherwise you'd have to do a sort of like a stylized kind of English. But she's got what about her face, Jeff?
What about it?
Well, is that the kind of face that you like? I think you said something about. What did you say? Something about a rodenty kind of face?
I mean, it's not bad. I guess it's more in that direction, but
right, okay.
She has that look to her, like, again, this is my kind of drive-by judgment. She has that kind of look to her, like she'd be a know-it-all and just be annoying in that way, like she knows better than everybody else.
I think there was I actually think that this guy that plays Sigmasix is a better actor than the one that plays Kappatoo.
Yeah, but honestly, my impression of him is when he was doing the scenes where he was pretending to be nice, he was more believable than he is as a villain. So my thought was not that he's a bad actor, but that he would be better suited to a role where he really was a nice guy, despite him saying, I hate nice. He comes across to me, the actor, as being better suited to that.
Yeah. And also,
that's just my impression, that he seemed more natural when he was pretending like he was nice, as opposed to the other way around.
Also, with this in the first series where we're talking about Sigmasix was on stereo foods, I mean, the actor Simon Nash is more heavily built than the other one. So he could sort of say, look at the size of his muscles. Because it's like you've got this guy who's in the future and he's got these big muscles and he's meant to be a weakling, Kappatoo. So I would have cast him I would have tried casting him as Sigmasix and say, yeah, he does look like he's been on the stereo foods.
Wait, who are you saying looks bigger?
This guy, Simon Nash, has got bigger muscles than this actor. And yet,
it doesn't look like it in that picture.
Yeah, not in that picture. But when you see Simon Nash, like when he's only like 18 years old, yes, he's not in the United States like playing American football, and of course they'd be in the gym. Maybe you get like big 18-year-olds, but I think he's quite well developed.
Well, it may just be the way the uniforms look or whatever, because he's got the sort of stuff covering his chest, and Sigma doesn't, so you see more of his like chest muscles and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen like scenes like where I've seen his forearms and that lot. It just looks like, especially someone who's meant to be about 14 or 15. But yeah, I mean, there are certain things that the actor does well, like certain comedic things that Simon Nash, like that bit where he did with the mother. So, yeah, he didn't go on to do much after this, like maybe like 2 or 3 other appearances, and then that was it. Like minor appearances and things. Anyhow, so you like the plot more than the previous week? Yeah, I just wish they didn't telegraph it as much.
Yeah, I didn't really feel like that it was telegraphed. I just kind of felt like, in retrospect, there was maybe it was maybe a little less believable that the computer would have fallen for the trick.
Yeah. Also, the problem
Even
is,
if Kappatoo did, the computer shouldn't have.
also the thing is, I first watched this in about February. I mean, other than the original viewing at the time, so I'm probably being coloured by that, in that I'm remembering things like, so my reaction to what's going on, it's coloured by this not being my first experience of it, because it's like, oh, I remember what happens in this, so maybe I'm confusing that with foresight. Right, so I give this one about. It's like my default score is like 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it usually is for me too.
It took me a while to do the graphics. I'm annoyed at him doing these voices because I feel I have to stop and write down which voice he's doing. Because I got to take.
I mean, you don't have to for my account, but if you feel like it adds to the review, because I'm not going to know who they are anyway. So
yeah, I mean, it's going to be a small caption of people who are going to know, like people of a certain age will know who these people are. Yeah, these references. Right then, so I give it 7.
I will also give it a 7.
Right then, so what I'll do is I'll end the review, unless there's anything else you'd like.
After we invite the viewer to join us next week for the next exciting time episode.
Yes, and it will have time in it. Let's see what it's called.
Always.
It's called Bad Timing.
All right, so we'll look forward to that and milking some pigs.
Yeah. All right then.
Bye.